I remember when Nas had said back in the days, you know, hip hop is dead. And what people would ask me about that, and they said, why? Do you think hip hop is dead? And I said, if the woman's voice is not heard, then yes, hip hop is dead. If we are not in it, if we're not playing on the radio, if we're not making records, then yeah, it is. You need us in hip hop. We gotta say what we gotta say sometimes. You need that beat. You need that rhyme. You need that song. You need those words. And if the words only a woman will speak.
Powerful. Love Queen Latifah. If you guys haven't seen it, that's an excerpt from Ladies First, a story of women in hip hop on Netflix. And now we have a very special guest joining us, Justin Tinsley of Andscape, who knows very well the culture of hip hop. Justin, how are you? Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank y'all, ladies, for having me on. I'm really excited about this discussion.
Yeah, we've had you.
Pleasure.
I've talked to you, Tens. Sorry, everybody, I call him Tens. And so,
oh, come on now.
Because we family over here. So, Tens, you know,
Hell yeah.
I've had you on my show and we've talked about your book, you know, that you wrote regarding the Notorious B.I.G. So we know that this is something that you're very passionate about in hip hop. And as we celebrate the 50th anniversary of hip hop, you know, it just all comes together. It's really unfortunate that guys like Biggie, like Pac, you know, Guru and other guys, Jam Master Jay can't be here with us to celebrate those things. But it also just is so empowering how a genre of music that many people didn't think would make it has now been almost is a half a century old.
No, that's the most powerful thing because, you know, at first they thought hip hop was going to go the way of disco, right? Oh, this is a trend. It's not going to last long. But I think one of the most important moments in hip hop history, and it was actually at the very, very beginning, well, at the early stages of it, when Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five made The Message, because up until then, you know, hip hop had been known as like a party genre, which is, of course, a very important style and, you know, type of songs that people make in terms of partying. Yes, we like to have fun, we like to party, but also when The Message came out in 1982, which was around the economic downturn, especially for Black America at that point, and obviously we knew what crack cocaine was doing to inner city neighborhoods across the country, largely Black neighborhoods. That was one of the first moments that really showed, like, hold on, this is also a societal critique. This is also something, you know, yeah, we want you to have a good time when you listen to this, but we also want you to take some away from it. And I think that was one of the more beautiful and important parts of this genre in its very, very early stage. And of course, we've seen how it's evolved over time. We've seen the different discussions that have popped up over time. And honestly, what I really want from Hip Hop 50 is, yes, we need to celebrate it because this is a genre worth celebrating. This is a genre that has changed the world, that has impacted all of our lives in various different fashions. But it's also a genre that, you know, we deserve to have some very important, conversations around, which is why I'm so glad y'all led with that Queen Latifah clip from the Ladies First documentary. Like, that's very important. So, like, what I love about this is we can celebrate, and also have necessary discussions at the same time as well.
The necessary discussions, because the folks haven't seen the documentary yet on Netflix, I'm telling you, watch it, because I just finished it, Justin, and what it brings light to is, unfortunately, some of the downfalls that hip hop has had, right? Not rightfully giving credit to some of our first ladies of hip hop and their contributions to hip hop. I love a quote from the film was talking about, this is about the ingenuity of Black women, you know, in hip hop. And also, I'm a big believer of giving people their flowers while they're still here. And luckily, so many of our females, right, that were at the forefront are still here. But just talking about this Netflix documentary, and, you know, we talked about Queen Latifah in that, just so many, Missy Elliott mentioned in that, you know, Lil Kim, I mean, all these people that so many of us have watched for so long. You know, why is it important and why is it necessary, Justin, that people also, as we, you know, think about 50 years of hip hop, you know, and I had a chance to see some of the ladies in New Orleans at Essence Fest, right? When they honored some of these women like Eve coming back, you know, and stuff. And it was amazing to me because that's who I grew up, you know, listening and watching Trina. But why is it so important that this story be told? And especially that our young people know these women who some didn't get the credit rightfully, right? For some of the credits that they're behind, some of the songs that they're behind, and really how Black women have played a role in portrayal of the growth of hip hop music.
You know, if you say that you love hip hop and, you know, this is your genre, this is my music that I hold close to me, then you have to give everybody credit. You have to give each and every single person that played a role in the evolution of this thing that we love called hip hop. So if you believe that, August 11th, 1973, and I understand that date has come under some sort, I ain't gonna say controversy, under fire, but it's come under question a little bit. But if we use August 11th, 1973 as the birthday or the founding date of hip hop, there's a woman at the very, very center of that. We give DJ Kool Herc his love, his flowers, as we should, because he was DJing that day, but he was also DJing for his younger sister, Cindy Campbell, who now is known as the first lady of hip hop. And if it wasn't for her birthday party, the whole party doesn't happen. Now, maybe hip hop is quote unquote founded at a later date, but if we focus on that, a woman has been at the very epicenter of this genre from the very beginning. And one thing that documentary has done, one thing that several conversations I've seen had over the course of the last several months, at least during this year alone, is just that, women are not footnotes in this genre's history. They are actual chapters. They are actually like main characters in all this. And if we're going to if we want to honestly have a real celebration about this genre, we need to celebrate the women that have been at the forefront, because we understand how this genre in many cases has, pushed women aside or like erased their entire existence out of the genre together. One of my really close friends is Drew Dixon. And if you know Drew Dixon, she was a big time executive at Def Jam back in the 90s. And I had a chance to really tell her story about her role in a song that we all love. This is like, it's basically, how Electric Slide is at the cookouts for previous generations. Well, Mary J. and Method Man, You're All I Need is just like that for our generations. And she told her role in that story and about how basically over the last 30 years, she's been erased from that because of, unfortunately, a really dark side of Russell Simmons she was sexually assaulted by Russell Simmons. She basically just left the music industry because of the trauma that caused. I was very honored that she trusted me to tell her story about a piece I wrote earlier this year. And she was also an integral figure in the whole reason why my Biggie book was even published. So there's so many women like that over the course of hip hop's 50 years and even beyond that. They don't just deserve to be acknowledged. They need to be celebrated. They need to be revered in the same way that we do men in this genre, that deservingly so, and unfortunately, in some cases, undeservingly so.
Yeah, and I definitely am a person that, I'm not going to tell my age here, but I guess I'm about to tell my age. I definitely grew up, listening to the Roxanne Shantae's, the real Roxanne. So in addition to the MC Lights, in addition to the Queen Latifahs, we don't give the Sweet Teas enough love. We don't give the Roxanne Shantae's enough love. So this documentary really does touch a lot of different bases on that. And that's the part that I really loved seeing about
Absolutely.
This, because those ladies, we a lot of people know MC Light now as just a voiceover for like a lot of award shows, when really MC Light is one of the pioneers of hip hop, and it absolutely should be discussed.
Facts.
I want to switch gears a little bit, though, if I can, Tens. You did do an article recently regarding the Tory Lanez situation, and you advised that, there needs to be more accountability, particularly in hip hop. And I just want you to explain to those who are watching and those who are listening what exactly you meant in regards to the accountability.
So when I look at, this situation between Tory Lanez and Megan Thee Stallion, I saw how it played out over the course of 2.5 years before the trial even started. And I saw that, in many cases, it's never apples to apples or oranges to oranges, 100 or 0. Like there's always some give and take. But from what I've seen and from what I saw, Megan was really not given the benefit of the doubt in her situation. She was like, I was shot. This is the person that shot me. But at first, the story started out about like, oh, she didn't even really get shot. She stepped on glass. Then it was like, oh, she got shot, but it wasn't Tory that did it. Oh, she got shot, but, it was somebody else in the car that did it. And it was just, I saw how her character was assassinated in so many different ways. Whereas Tory, there weren't many people within the hip hop sphere, at least publicly forward facing. I give credit to Sauce Walker. Maxo Cream from Houston. I also give credit to Bun B from Houston as well who spoke out, immediately about like, yo, anybody that shoots a woman, and it's not out of like self-defense or in protection of your life, like we don't need that. That's not the type of energy we need around this culture. And I didn't see that energy really reciprocated over the course of not even during the trial, but even leading up to the trial. And, we've spoken so much about, misogyny and toxic masculinity in hip hop, especially over the last several years, that I don't think any of those conversations really were taken into consideration during the build up to that trial, from hip hop culture and by people who really have a say so within this. And it was just like, oh, she's lying on Tory, or, Tory didn't do this or he wouldn't do that. I always felt like all these things that were said about Megan leading up to the trial, how she was a liar, how she did this. I was like, all right, well, if she's a liar, this is going to easily come out in trial, right? Like if you're a lawyer worth your salt, this should be easily debunked. And it wasn't. And it was proven over and over that she was shot. And so I just feel like if we're talking about Megan Thee Stallion, if we're talking about Drew Dixon, who I, previously said, if we're talking about somebody like Dee Barnes and her association with Dr. Dre from back in the day, like, and there's so many other examples to this, right? Like I'm just naming 3 off the top of my head, but there may be 3,000 more. So like, if this is a genre that we say we love, if this is a genre that we say we covet and cherish, we need to be moving like James Baldwin when he talked about America, when he was like, I love America so much, that's why I can critique it the way that I do. Well, I love hip hop so much, that's why I feel like I should be able to critique it the way that I do, and so many others. So I love this genre, but if it's going to survive another 50 years, there needs to be a level of accountability and uncomfortable conversations that come with it too. And hopefully actions out of those uncomfortable conversations.
Justin, that was a quote I took from the documentary as well. We love hip hop enough to hold it accountable when they were talking about the story of Dreamhampton. And I think that's on all of us, because as we all know, there's very nasty stuff being said about Meg on social media. Still this day, even if you just go and look it up, and people still not believing, even though we're at the sentencing part of the trial. And so, as you said, even though hip hop has moved forward, you can see many of the things the women were talking about in that film, we're still facing. Meg is still facing till this very day. And unfortunately, will continue to face. And she's even said she hasn't been at peace since the day that she was shot. But Justin, we so appreciate, shedding light on this story. Obviously, it's a conversation we're going to want to continue to have. Make sure y'all follow Justin. He does very great pieces on hip hop.
Real quick, Justin. Real quick.
All right, we got one real quick, Justin.
Your favorite era of hip hop? Which one? Pick one.
The 90s. It's got to be the 90s, right?
All right.
So, yeah.
There's some 90s in the golden years, but I'll let you get.
Well, I will say 04 to 08 during my college years, I'm always have the
early 2000s.
Special place in my heart. You know what I mean? The Lil Wayne, the T-Pain, the Dream era, all that. But yeah, I know y'all got to go. But yeah, that would be my answer right there.
College parties hit differently in the 2000s. I feel you, Justin.
Pre-social media.
I'm a classic hip hopper, but I'm the old one of the group, so that's why.
Appreciate you, Justin.
Thank y'all for having me on, ladies.
Hey, thank you for watching Brother from Another. If you haven't hit that subscribe button, go ahead and do that now. Don't forget, you can catch us 3 to 4 weekdays on PeacockTV.com and on Sirius XM Channel 85.